Chapter 197, Shoe Bomber. Business was booming, but as soon as I got comfortable, it took a nosedive. Illegal businesses was just like the stock market. You get to 900,000 and it's back down to 450. You get a stone's throw away from your goal and the losses come. Every time the boogeyman, Osama bin Laden, Al-Qaeda or the Taliban was accused of an attack, all the entry points tightened up, causing the streets to dry up and the prices to skyrocket. This time they weren't attacking the poppy fields and burning the opium plants. This time it was an aircraft, an American airline passenger plane. At this time, it wasn't required for your shoes to be removed and put in the x-ray machines at the airports. Richard Reed, a member of the so-called Al-Qaeda, boarded an American airline flight from Paris to Miami wearing shoes packed with explosives. He was planning on bringing down the airliner loaded with Americans. He supposedly got a seat where the wings and engines were and tried to detonate the shoe while sitting in his seat. Because of the sweat from his feet, the stem to the explosive wouldn't light, and with him having trouble with the detonation, it alerted passengers who attacked and restrained him. After that incident, no more narcotics were able to come through in shoes. All shoes had to be placed in the x-ray machines, essentially killing that whole smuggle. 9/11 had already put extra security at all the ports. Now 3 months later, it was being tightened up again. I was still able to get my product from the West Coast where the security wasn't as intense. New York and Washington, D.C. were prime targets for the Holy War, supposedly being waged by bin Laden, in retaliation for transgressions on his land by the European and European Americans. That Holy War, coupled with a 2-minute shootout with some Dominicans in New York over ecstasy prices, caused me to look towards the Southern Peninsula. Chapter 198, Dominicans. My main export was ecstasy, and I was moving those pills faster than what my suppliers could supply. Whenever I got close to running out of product, I went into crisis mode and began to panic. I hated to leave money on the table. On a Monday, I was down to my last few thousand pills and my supplier wouldn't be ready until Friday, and that wasn't guaranteed. In those 4 days, I could potentially miss out on 5 digits and the possibility of someone moving into that gap and peeling off a few customers, so I got irrational. I contacted a friend in Connecticut from Sierra Leone that also moved pills. I needed a minimum of 15,000 pills. He said he had access to some at $4 a pop in New York. That was expensive for me because I was getting them at 50 cents, but at the $8 wholesale price, I could still double my money, so I was on my way to him. I jumped onto the turnpike. Dolo. Cash stashed in the dash. Palm-sized .45 caliber that I called Return to Sender, stuffed in the fender. We decided to meet in New York.
Game recognized game, so I bust for the fuck of it. Pain in my brain, so I lust for the sucker shit. Pussy, weed, and drinks got my ink so desolate. All my niggas down, make the nigga wanna bun a bitch. Fuck with suckers, then you a sucker too. No love for a broad girl, I'm only.
Every time someone from DC went to New York, we had to be cautious and also aware because of the reputation of DC dudes. It was once believed that we only went to New York for one of 3 things: to carry out a hit, to rob, or to buy weight. All 3 were dangerous, and ironically, all 3 were true, but in addition to shopping. Sometimes just speaking a few words, New Yorkers would pick up on our accents and their reactions to us would immediately change. Some got paranoid and some got suspicious. Some watched us with a side eye and some stopped smiling, but it was always a noticeable reaction. I met the Sierra Leonean at an expensive hotel in downtown Manhattan as a safe spot. But once he got there, he said he only had 3,000 pills. The other 12,000 didn't come through. I was pissed. He was being a middleman and it backfired. This is the most dangerous part of the drug game. When games start being played, it usually ends up with someone getting killed. He said he knew some Dominicans in Harlem that had an endless supply and we should go and see them. He would even bring his little cousin as a tester. This was a no-no. I need to walk away. It didn't feel right. I don't know his little cousin or these Dominicans. They could be killers, or worse, they could be cops. My intuition was raging and pushing against my stomach muscles. My heartbeat was abnormal. My pulse was pulsing and my breathing was shorter, but my bravado was in override. Money blinds rationality. The possession of a pistol sometimes blinds reason and logic. Return to sender can sometimes return you to the sender. I thought about it long and hard. I thought about it over and over while the Sierra Leonean awaited my decision. He wasn't rushing or pushy. He was just hoping to scrape some crumbs off of the plate and then leave and go and get some pussy. I felt that going back down the highway with only 3,000 pills was a waste. They would be gone by tomorrow and I would have to come back or send someone up to get more. I might as well take all the risk at once by grabbing as much as I can while I'm here. Fuck it. Let's do it. I defied my intuition as I normally did, knowing that I would usually end up in a bad situation. I calmed the fast beating of my heart muscle and took a deep breath. Me, Sierra Leone, and his little cousin, the tester, met the Dominicans in the foyer of an apartment building. Right next to the entrance was a glass door that led to a small downstairs bar and a pool hall. After a brief conversation and a quick glance of the cash, we all went downstairs to wait for them to bring the product. 12,000 pills for 48,000. Already had 3,000 from the Sierra Leonean stashed in the car. In the downstairs bar, it was around 5 Dominicans playing pool and talking amongst themselves in Spanish. We all took a seat as I observed the location. It was one way in and one way out. Another no-no. Sierra Leone saw my index finger twitching and told me to calm down. The Dominicans were official. 48,000 was like $48 to them. They supplied most of Connecticut and Delaware, Jersey and Harlem. Within a few minutes, one of them came downstairs with 5 yellow pills. They were called No Limit and had the No Limit tank stamped into them. His little cousin, the tester, split one of the pills in half and looked close. I don't see any flakes. Papi, it is good. It's the best pills in Harlem. Just pop it, you'll see, said the Dominican. The tester rolled his eyes and replied, if you say so. Sierra Leone didn't look impressed by his cousin's conclusions. Lil' homie, his cousin, was always rolling, so he already suspected that they were some trash. He was looking for the pretty shiny flakes that would indicate the potency, and seeing none, his hopes were dashed. He put the half a pill in his mouth and then sipped some water from a water bottle. Pappy, the dealer, went on to fraternize with the others playing pool. 10 minutes later, the tester looked at me and said, yo, I'm gonna take the other half because I don't feel nothing yet. The dealer overheard him and yelled over, it takes about 15 minutes to kick in, Poppy. Don't worry, it's good. He took the other half a pill and then looked at me with a smirk on his face. At this time, the homie from Sierra Leone got up to go upstairs. I'll be right back. Where you going? Upstairs, just to make sure everything is everything. Yeah, okay, I said with sarcasm. Another no-no. I had my 4/5, so I felt secure and I had a decent spot. The stairway was a few steps away and my back was against the wall. I could also see my peripheral where I could post behind a barrier and punish 2 of the Dominicans immediately with headshots close range. The others were the problem, but I was confident that I would be able to make it to the door with the other 8-shot clip I had in my pocket. I just had to move quickly. I leaned back and waited for the word from the tester. A couple minutes later, he shook his head. Nah. Trash. Poppy walked over and he told him that the pills were garbage. After 20 minutes, he still hadn't felt anything. He should be rolling by now. Poppy got upset but begged us to wait a little longer while he goes and get another batch that was guaranteed to be way better. I declined. That was my last no-no. When you love your life and freedom, 1 no-no is enough. But here I was on my 3rd no-no. I was slipping. Nah, Poppy, I'm good. Just call the homie when you get some good ones and I'll come back. No, please don't leave. I have the good ones coming, just wait. I noticed that the other Dominicans stopped playing pool and took positions. And the homie from Sierra Leone still hadn't returned. I also peeped that Poppy kept looking at my chest. He probably thought I had an armor plate beneath my vest, but it was just a $48,000 in cash bulging like breasts. I took a step towards a stairway that led upstairs and outside. Poppy took a quick step to block me, then said something in Spanish to the other Dominicans. As soon as one of them reached for his waist, I pushed past Poppy and headed up the stairway quickly, running up sideways with my pistol out. This all happened in a matter of seconds. I heard Poppy behind me screaming, DC, what the fuck you doing? Once I got to the top of the stairs, I saw 2 Dominicans walking quickly from across the street, heading towards me. I quickly looked back to see the others grabbing the tester and 2 coming up the stairs behind me. The homie from Sierra Leone was nowhere in sight. I stepped out onto the boulevard as the 2 Dominicans in the street were coming. One of them yelled, Poppy, wait, we have what you want. Wait. I kept walking fast as they were coming up faster and faster from an angle. The other 2 were walking fast behind me yelling, DC, wait, DC. I was coming up quickly to a corner store with 2 little girls on bicycles parked in the front. I needed to get past them and bend the corner, so I sped up. As I sped up, they also sped up into a slight jog. I couldn't wait any longer. I gripped the 4/5 and quickly turned to face them and let off 3 shots. It was definitely a robbery setup because they immediately returned fire, causing the little girls to drop their bikes and run into the store and everyone else out there to scatter. I ran around the corner, spint and let off 6 more. Then reloaded. 5 shots were returned and everything went quiet. I waited for a few seconds for anyone to come around that corner. I was going to empty a clip in them close range, but nobody came, so I spent around the corner and let off 4 more shots at a car coming in my direction. The car sped off, and I jumped in my car and skirted off. As soon as my car pulled off, shots began raining down from a rooftop. They didn't hit anything. As soon as I got away from the scene, crossing the bridge into the Bronx, I called the homie from Sierra Leone. What's up, homie? Where you at? I spoke calmly as if nothing had just happened so I wouldn't alert him. I needed to trick him into a face-to-face meeting so I could put 2 in his head close range. But he already knew what happened and he was panicking. Bro, what the fuck happened? I was in the store talking to a girl and saw you run past. Let's get off the phone. Meet me at the spot. The spot was at a park in Brooklyn where the Dreads played football. I needed some ammunition, so it was a win-win. Get the ammo from the Dreads and eliminate the Sierra Leonean. Bro, they say you pulled a gun and ran out of the spot shooting. They had the pills. My little cousin say the no-limit pills kicked in as soon as you left. He rolling now. Dog, you wild. The Dominicans are pissed off at me. He didn't know that I was more pissed than they were, and I was planning on taking out his trash. Him and his cousin. He wasn't dumb though. He never returned any more of my calls and he never showed up to the park in Brooklyn. Word on the street was the Dominicans we met weren't the real connect. They were middlemen getting fronted pills to resell at a profit. Well, first they would crush the pills into powder, stretch them by cutting them with baking soda, then recompress them with a candy machine and stamp it with the logos of the best pills on the street at the time. They would turn 200 pills into 2,000. But the 2,000 would be garbage, and this is what the African was selling in Connecticut. The African didn't know the real Connect. This is who he knew, and this was his Connect. If I knew this, I would have never dealt with him. The 3,000 pills I got from him were garbage, and he was trying to get a cut off the other 12,000 that I was purchasing. I ate some curry with the dreads, but avoided telling them what had happened. I didn't need a full-fledged war to start. I would take care of the African and his little cousin when time permits. We smoked a spliff, then I hopped back on the turnpike back to DC with the 3,000 garbage pills. I could still move them, but they would just move slow. I still had my life, freedom, and cash, so I couldn't complain.
Carries the torch, nigga. Uptown's finest. Just come up off the porch, nigga. Uptown's wildest. Gut down, violent, but silent to the dean. Since riding in the beamer, feeling timing in the system.